Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Craftyartshack, and we're back here today with another challenge video. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, so let's get on with the crafts. Let's go! Here we go with DIY number 1. I have all of these seasoning bottles that I rescued from my community thrift store. The other day I was in the kitchen and I was cleaning out some of my spices and putting them in mason jars. And when I was doing this, I decided I was going to take these and use them for my little granddaughters. And they love to cook in their little kitchen, so I'm adding some beads to this. Now, don't worry, because I'm going to seal these shut. And I am going to take these black pepper cans and do it as well. Now, I'm not removing any of the spices because I wanted them to get used to the different smells and to be familiar with what that spice smells like. And so I talked with their mom, and she said, sure, it would be good if I super glued it and I took and hot glued it as well. And then she would watch them really closely because she doesn't let them play with their kitchen unless she's out there with them. And so that's what we're doing here. We're going to super glue these lids on. We're going to add a bead to each of the cans and jars, super glue the beads on, and hot glue or super glue the lids on and hot glue the lids for double protection. And then we're going to wipe them down and get them ready for them. And we'll see the rest of these at the final reveal. All right, today is the third Thursday Thrift Flip Open Invite. It is hosted by Tammy from the Rusted Willow and Marquita from Marquita's Creations. These are two very talented women, so go check out their channels. Their link is in the description box below. There's also a playlist in the description box of all the other creators who are participating in this challenge. Now, we had to go shop, thrift, and repeat. And what that is we're taking the items we got from the thrift store and repurposing them for another project. So check out those playlists in the description box below. They're doing some awesome crafts and you sure don't want to miss it. Alright, here we go with DIY number 2. Here's a little tray that I finished for the Thrift Flip Road Trip project, and I asked y'all what you thought I should do to it. If I should put wax on it, if I should put a transfer on it, what I should do. The majority of you said add a transfer. Now, this was a little silver dish that somebody had done some stuff to and messed it up, and so I repainted it. And if you want to see what that looks like, go watch the last Thrift Flip Road Trip that was done last week in March, and you'll see how I refinished this. And so what I'm doing here is I'm rubbing on this transfer. Now, I'm going to tell you, this transfer didn't come onto this very easy. First of all, you got all those little divots for the plate. But y'all all agreed, the majority of you agreed that I should put some kind of transfer in the center of this dish. So that's what I'm doing. And oh my gosh, did it take a while. So anyway, we will see the rest of this one at the final reveal when I finally get all of this off. And yes, it took a long time. But I prevailed, and I was not going to let it beat me. So we'll see it at the final reveal. Now here we go with DIY number 3. Now here's a silver tray that I picked up from, I think it was the local thrift store. I'm not sure if it was that. But somebody had polished this so much that the silver was polished off of it except for the legs and the bottom side. And you see how that top side had started turning yellow. Well, I took and cleaned it with a baby wipe and cleaned it up really, really good. And then I'm prepping it so I can paint it. Now, this project did not turn out how I wanted it to, and I'm going to show you what happened. But let's get it cleaned up and move to the next step. Now, I got my Dixie Belle Slick Stick out, and it's now called Bonding Boss, and we are going to paint the whole face of this tray. Now, we're not going to paint the edges over there where the handle is and that little ornate piece that goes around. We're just going to paint around the edge. So I got a small brush out because I did not want to get any paint on this. And if you get it on there, wipe it off immediately. Now, I could have gone over the whole tray, but that's not what I had envisioned. So I'm going to paint it with this slick stick first, and then we'll go from there. Now here's the part where I covered it with the slick stick and got it on there and was trying to get all my brush strokes out because I didn't want any of that showing through, and I wanted to make sure I had a good coat of this on there. Then the next thing I did, got out the Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint, which means it's the chalk paint. Sorry about my camera, you guys. The chalk paint with the sealer in it, and so that's what I'm using, and I'm going to give it one good coat of this white cap. And then my camera's trying to focus on the tip of my brush, so if it goes out of focus, I apologize. So I'm going to go all the way around, put a good coat of this white cap on here, and I had envisioned this being white, but guess what happened? Can somebody tell me in the description box below what happened? Or not in the description box, in that comment section below. Tell me what you think happened to this piece. It didn't show up after I painted it with white paint. Now after I got this on there and it got good and dry, I went and got out my transfers, and I found these black and white transfers in some of the Dixie Belle stuff that I had, and I'm going to cut out the ones that I think would look absolutely gorgeous on this tray, and we're going to prep them and get them ready. Now after I get them cut out, then I'm going to rub them on to my tray. Now that tray looks white to y'all, doesn't it? It is completely dry. Completely dry. And so I'm going to get my transfers on there and get them rubbed in really well, and here's what they look like. Now I had a problem here when my transfer broke as I was going up over the curb. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to look and see if there's another transfer I can lay over the top of it to fix it. And then I couldn't find one. So guess what I did? Look at here. Here's what I did. I got my fine point Sharpie marker out. I said, it's black and white. I'm going to draw this back in there where it should be. And guess what? It worked. It turned out absolutely gorgeous. By the time I got done, it looked like it belonged there, and that if you didn't know I broke that transfer, you wouldn't even recognize that it was there. So let's get moving on to the next step. I agree that transfer is not absolutely perfect, but it will work for what I was doing. So the next thing I'm going to do, in order to keep my transfer from breaking, I'm going to cut it apart this time to put it on here. And I'm going to cut it in different pieces so that I'm going to try to keep it from breaking. It still ends up breaking a little bit, but not as bad as it did on that first one. So let me get this cut apart and get it rubbed on, and we'll move to the next step. So far, so good. We haven't cracked it. Now we're going to start adding our other pieces back to this and get them put on here. And then we'll move on to the next step. I got my transfer all on there, and that tray is still white. It is. Now I'm going to put this silk extra coat on here, and even after I get done, I'm making sure there's nothing on my tray, and I'm going to put a generous coat on here because I want to protect these transfers if somebody wants to use this. So I'm gently going over my transfers with this and putting this on there to protect the transfers, and I'm going to go all over the white paint and over the transfer, and I got something on my brush, got it on there, so I'm trying to get that off. And then we're going to let this dry. Look at this. This turned out absolutely gorgeous. And then I will show you the rest of this at the final reveal, and we'll talk about it because it is so beautiful. It is so white. It is so pretty, but you will not believe what happened to it. Now here's DIY number 4. Now here's our next project that I started working on, and unfortunately the weather in Florida was not cooperating with us. But this is what it looked like on the sides. Now here's the stripper that I use for this project. Now here's my husband out here teaching me how to strip this piece of furniture, because this is what he does at work for a living. And so see where that white spot is? That's where I put my stripper on there, but I bought a cheap stripper and it didn't work. And there's so many jokes in that. But he took me to buy that other stripper that was the more expensive. He says, you always want to buy a good stripper. Don't buy a cheap one. And I was cracking up. I said, okay, babe, okay. So he had me put it on there, and he said the key to stripping a piece of furniture is to keep the stripper good and wet. I was like, okay. And he said, and don't touch it. Don't touch this. You can't scrape this down. It's not ready yet. He said, you want to let the stripper do all the work. I had so many jokes, it wasn't even funny. But I said, okay, whatever you say, babe. Now, I did not get to complete this project because of the rain here in Florida. And we were working outside. And this top of this thing took quite a while to just get it done. And so I'm showing you here the stripper again that I used that he had me go get because it was the better stripper. Unfortunately, because of the rain, as soon as we've got this cleaned off, and I just took my paint scraper there that I'm showing you, and we scraped the top of this off and got it good and cleaned off. And then he came out with some mineral spirits and what's it called? Steel wool. And after we scraped all of this off and got it into a box and threw that away, then he took mineral spirits and a piece of steel wool and cleaned it up. And we will see what that top looks like at the final reveal. And maybe next time for the next Third Thursday thrift flip, I'll get this piece finished because I need to get it done. And trust me, the top of this is absolutely gorgeous. I could not believe that somebody painted this piece. And I almost don't want to paint it back any color because it is so gorgeous. But we'll see that at the final reveal. Now, at this time, we'd like to thank our subscribers. We love you bunches. We appreciate everything you do for this channel. Although the liking, the sharing, and the big thumbs up, and having conversations with us through the comments. We really enjoy all of that, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We wouldn't be a channel if it wasn't for y'all watching. And so we just want to give you a big thanks. Here we go with the final reveal and all the embellishments. Now, here we are at our first project, and my little granddaughter is looking at her spices and playing with them, and she is absolutely having a blast. Now, her and her little sister have been playing with them, and this is their little kitchen, and they love to play like their mom cooking in the kitchen. And so here she is again, checking out her kitchen. Isn't this just adorable? My kids used to play with spices like this all the time, spice jars. Now here's that tray, and I added the little flower in the center of it. It turned out absolutely beautiful, and this will be making it to our booth. Now here is our tray when I sat it over at the photo station while I'm waiting on it to dry. It still looks nice and pretty and white, doesn't it? And with those black and white flowers on it, absolutely gorgeous. Then here's what it looked like when it dried. I guess it's going to fit into my booth being perfectly vintage because it changed colors. It turned this light green and dark green color, and it looks very aged. And I think it's because whatever is in that extra coat had a chemical reaction with the silver that is originally on this piece. And so, yeah, we're going to put it in the booth and see if it sells like this. If it doesn't, we'll bring it back home. We'll put a sealer on it and repaint it and put transfers back on it again. Now, here is that beautiful dresser that we were working on. Look at that wood. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? You guys, I apologize for not being able to finish this, but the rain wasn't cooperating with us, and this wasn't a project I could do inside because of my allergies. So we'll see this one on the next Third Thursday thrift flip. Yes, we will. Hopefully, if the weather cooperates. As most of you know, Beth and I opened the Chic Shack over at the Avonlea Mall, and here is the mall. It is 8101 Phillips Highway. Come visit us. We'd love to have you. We've also added Dixie Belle paints to our booth through Southern Belle Paints, and also Beth has started a new channel called KELLEY Shenanigans, and we have started What the Tuckers, all to further God's kingdom.
Turn out awesome. So you guys, if you like this content, subscribe. Hit that notification bell and give us that big thumbs up because it really helps our channel out. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.